Absolutely.
I don't know if you guys have seen this big kerfluffle that's going on with Rachel Hollis. Has anyone seen this, heard of it? Apparently she, from what I can gather, and again, she's another person who I'm familiar with, the fact that she's written some books. I think one of them was Girl, Wash Your Face or Clean Your Face or something like that.
Okay.
But she is, she is a person that is in the, I guess, I would say personal development space.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently she went live on, we're like the spiritual version of TMZ or something. It's really strange. We always know all the stuff, right? So in any case, she did a live on Instagram. I did not see the live on Instagram. I don't even know if it's still up or not. And then apparently during that live, someone made a commentary because she was talking about her housekeeper who comes into her home and cleans her home a couple times a week.
Right.
And so this person was like, oh, well, that's privileged AF. That's just privilege AF, right? And so she's like, yes, I am very privileged, but I've also worked very hard, right? And so then they say, well, you're not relatable. Okay? And her response was so beautiful. She was just like, what is it about me that made you think that I want to be relatable?
Right. She's even trying to be relatable.
I ain't even trying to be relatable. So she said she wasn't trying to be relatable. And for whatever reason, people really lost their ish. I saw videos of people burning her books. Okay.
What is
that
wrong
they
with
had
people?
of her, and they're like, yeah, throwing them in the trash. People are saying, I think the worst thing I ever did in my life was that I spent money on any of her programs. I see a lot of my pink and Caucasian sisters calling her, this is toxic white womanhood.
Wow.
Yeah, none of that is necessary. What she said is actually true. So I just want you to breathe in that for a minute.
Right. Well, I think it comes down to this. It's like if you just skip past the part of what she's talking about, and I think that's fundamentally what is happening, is that when they hear what she's talking about, they go, ouch.
Yep.
And the pain of that ouch is so deep that you skip past the content of what she's saying and how it can apply to your life.
Exactly.
And then you start demonizing her for saying it at all.
Exactly. And that's exactly what is happening with this cancel culture. And, the reality is that every time someone says something that other people don't like, people are starting to look for reasons to hook into it and say other things that have absolutely nothing to do with it. This is not racism. I even heard some people say that, it's racism. That's not, and usually these people are not brown people. Let me just say that.
I think that if your standard response to anything that you don't like, and it doesn't matter what rapper you come in, if your standard response to that is, this is just racism, because I've seen that. Where like pink people are calling out other pink people and saying this is just racism, and they're not talking about anybody with any other color. They're just
exactly.
I'm like, what?
Well, what has happened is that racism, the ability to call out other people for being racist, for being toxic, for being privileged, for being entitled, has become the I'm a good human card.
I'm a good human, therefore I've identified who the they is.
Yeah.
And the they in this case is anybody that has more monetary liquidity.
Well, my willingness to throw other people under the bus lets you see how much of a good person I am, so therefore maybe you won't attack me. But that's not how it works, number one, and that simply is not standing in a place of truth. So there's two things that we noticed. One was some people had an issue with what she actually said. She's privileged. So are we. Privilege is not a racial thing. I'm going to say it again for the people in the back. Privilege is not a racial thing. Now, I'm going to say something from my years as being an HR professional to say that everyone has certain protections. Everyone is a member of
some
protected class, right?
Yeah.
Those protected classes are race, religion, sex, okay? What else is it? Race, religion, sex, ethnicity, okay? Age is a protected class. So everyone has protections, at least here in the United States, based on these different classes.
Right.
Those protections don't just protect one group of people and not another. In other words, anyone can say I'm being discriminated against due to my race. That is not reserved for brown and black people. Anyone can feel that way. Anyone can feel as if I'm being discriminated against due to my sex. That's not just reserved for women. Men can feel that way as well. Anyone can say I'm being discriminated against based on my age. It's not just for elders. Also, young people can feel that way. It goes for both sides. The reality is that it's there to say you are not making decisions based solely on these qualifiers or these particular characteristics, right?
Okay.
So when you know that, then what you can understand is that it's not necessary then to start trying to look for who is the bad guy in this situation. You're saying you're privileged. You happen to be this blonde-haired, pink woman or Caucasian woman. Therefore, you must be the bad person. Yes, you're privileged because you happen to be blonde and you happen to be white. No, she's privileged because she has certain things that she can experience due to the amount of wealth that she has.
But isn't that privilege relative, though?
Yes, it is relative.
Because if you are at her income level, whatever that is, and of course we don't know what her income level is, but let's say she's of the income level that she feels like this is a good expenditure to have a housekeeper come in twice a week.
Right.
Now that's a choice.
Right.
You don't have to be super wealthy in order to do that.
Right.
You know, you could be at any income level.
And choose that. Exactly.
If it's a purchase that is in line with your values.
Exactly.
And so I don't even think that having a housekeeper come in is privilege.
Right.
Because it's relative, right?
Well, it is privilege to people who don't.
It's the privilege to people who don't,
right.
But it's not privilege to people like us because we have a housekeeper that comes in.
Right, exactly. Right, so we have a housekeeper that comes in. So to us, that's not privilege. There are places on this planet where almost everybody has a housekeeper.
Right, true.
Most people don't realize
Most
that.
people don't realize that.
There are places on the planet where it is just expected that if you have a home, you're going to have a housekeeper, you're going to have a landscaper, you're going to have a chef come in and cook for you. And that's how you're going to contribute to the economy, of your community. Right? But in this country in which we live, which is the United States of America, we have begun to demonize wealth. And this is really what we want to talk about, because you cannot demonize wealth and be wealthy.